Hi there and welcome to another one of my classic reviews, and in this video I'm talking about a film that I think pretty much everyone kind of agrees is a classic, Goodfellas. So Goodfellas is a 1990 film by Martin Scorsese, and it's kind of one of his three most acclaimed works, probably along with Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. But Goodfellas is probably the most mainstream and famous of his three most acclaimed works, in that not only did Goodfellas kind of inspire Scorsese's later works, films like The Wolf of Wall Street and Casino, but also Goodfellas basically set the template for a whole slew of new gangster movies. It set a template for a very stylised type of gangster film, not a solemn drama, which had kind of been set up a couple of decades prior by something like The Godfather. Goodfellas was fresh, it was new. Scorsese took some Nouvelle Vague inspirations and made a film filled with freeze frames, POV shots, long takes, narration, fast editing. The whole film is stylish beyond belief, and it's really technically impressive, so much so that the film holds up to rewatches so easily, because every time it's so easy to get drawn into the fast storytelling and the very efficient and awesome style. Goodfellas is essentially a gangster story with a central trio. There's a character of Henry Hill played by Ray Liotta, there's a character played by Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. Of the three, Ray Liotta definitely gives the blandest performance, but the other two are magnificent. Joe Pesci is a particular scene stealer, his explosive and angry character pretty much stealing every moment that he's on screen. I also think that Robert De Niro is interesting in this film because his character is basically a supporting role, and his character is relatively enigmatic compared to the others, but he manages to also, just as usual from De Niro, bring some real energy and bring some interesting things to the character. Goodfellas essentially depicts the rise and fall of a gangster. It starts with this idolisation of gangsterdom, and it depicts kind of the highs of the lifestyle. It depicts the way that being a gangster gives you respect, it gives you credibility, it gives you friends, it gives you a group, it gives you a family. And it's about, at first, the whole rise, and then later on it's about that fall, that descent. And what's really interesting about Goodfellas is it's a film of contrast. It's about the good and the bad of being a gangster. The good is the flamboyant lifestyle, the fact that everyone does what you say, the fact that you have just respect, and the fact that you do have a sense of place. And the film certainly idolises to some extent this kind of the highs of this lifestyle. But at the same time, the film is not afraid to go dirty. It's rife with murders and violence, which Scorsese plays as quite incidental to the plot, but I think actually stand out as being quite significant, that there is that nasty side to this life. And the film has this contrast as well. There's a very nice veneer of a glamorous life, but beneath it is quite a crude lifestyle. The domestic life of the lead character is pretty nasty at times. There's certainly some domestic violence, and some of the sexual moments are fairly crude. It's certainly a film of contrast, of glamour and of squalor. And that's the world of Goodfellas. That is the world of the gangster life that Goodfellas is attempting to showcase from beginning to end. The film isn't afraid to get nasty, but it also isn't afraid to kind of embolden the movie style lifestyle that these characters end up having. Goodfellas is a loud film, filled with social interactions and conversations and moments where people talk and shout, and it's really, really lively, which keeps the whole thing able to effortlessly move along from plot point to plot point. The fact that it certainly goes some directions that are a bit unpredictable, and the fact that there's definitely some superfluous scenes here and there doesn't really take away the fact that every single second of Goodfellas is really, really appealing, and every single moment of this film holds up. There's a reason this is a classic, and that is essentially because Scorsese has made this epic tale of gangsterdom and made it something that we can all kind of understand. It makes us understand the appeal of how this life looks good. It also has this narration, which basically is a crash course in the inner workings of how this life works, of how each day goes by, of what activities you need to actually do to be a criminal. It also has just a very open sense of it. Feels like it actually gets underneath the skin of being a member of one of these gangs. Goodfellas overall just really works as a tale that goes from a beginning to an end point, and does so whilst telling us a whole slew of interesting stories. I don't think this is Scorsese's deepest film, and personally I do think Scorsese has made a fair few better films than Goodfellas, but this film is so influential and so important, and it so stands apart in terms of its legacy. It is a cultural landmark, and everything that this film does is endlessly repeated in cinema because it does them so well, and it brings new things to the table. This is a clear classic, and honestly I think Goodfellas stands apart as being one of the finest gangster films ever made, and one of the finest films in a career filled with pretty much nothing but fine films. In my opinion, Goodfellas is obviously just a classic. So that's what I think of Goodfellas. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've seen it, so please leave me a comment. I imagine most of you have seen it. If you like this review, please give it a like. If you want to hear more of my opinion, you can subscribe, or you can follow me on Letterboxd, links in the description. Thanks for watching.